Now, it's my pleasure to delight you all with the presence of Dr. Sebastian Gorka, I should say, who joins us from Washington, D.C. Sebastian, a very good afternoon to you.
Happy bank holiday. My money's on Mike. Between Extinction Rebellion and the Independent Republic of Mike Gray, my money's on you, Mike.
Listen, they're not getting in the way of my bottle of claret and a steak lunch, I'm afraid. Soho awaits for me, so that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. But listen, how the hell have we got to this place with this absolutely useless president that you now have, who was the toast of, the liberal media, the man who was going to solve all the world's problems, the man who was going to, pour oil on troubled waters. I mean, he's caused the biggest disaster in foreign policy history, hasn't he?
We told you so. I mean, we told everybody. You can't have a senile, doddering old man who's been a swamp creature for 47 years, never had a real job, come in and not screw things up. There's a guy in American politics who is a bureaucrat par excellence. He's called Robert Gates.
Yes.
He was former CIA director, former defense secretary under the Obama administration, very measured, very straight shooter. In his autobiography, Gates said, there isn't a foreign policy issue that Biden hasn't been on the wrong side of for 40 years.
Right.
And he comes in, you give him the Oval Office, and what do you expect? In just look, it took Carter 4 years to screw things up. Sleepy Creepy has done it in 7 months.
Amazing.
Whether it's this, I love watching the reports from you guys and also Nigel. Oh, we're going to have X thousand people, illegals, come across the channel. This year, thanks to Biden, Mike, we're going to have 2 million illegal aliens cross the southern border. Not 1,000, 2 million. That's because he literally dismantled the regime that my old boss put in place.
Yeah.
Whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's the Nord Stream pipeline sanctions being dropped with Russia, whether it's China lecturing us at the Sino-US summit with BLM talking points, with our chief diplomat just sitting there like a cuckold, taking it all. It's an utter, unmitigated disaster.
It really is extraordinary stuff. Let me play a couple of clips, though, because you've got a fantastic interview with Donald Trump, which is out there, which, of course, you did on your radio show. It is Salem Radio, of course. Let's have a listen to Donald Trump on wokeism with Sebastian.
And take a look happened, you talk about the greatest military, but take a look at what happened in Afghanistan. I mean, we beat the Nazis, but look at this. We're being sent out of Afghanistan. And frankly, the August 31st date is not being lengthened because they're not allowing him to do it. It's not because of him. It's because they're not allowing him any more time. Whoever thought this was possible? So with this woke culture, our military is going to be a loser and the whole country is going to be a loser.
That's America First. It's the Sebastian Gorka show on Salem Radio. I mean, extraordinary thing that has happened, because he's right to say it. The military in America has become woke, hasn't it?
We have the most senior military officer in the United States, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, who, in testifying in front of Congress, said, I want to know what white rage is because I'm white, and I'm fine with critical race theory being taught at the most prestigious military academy at West Point. Mark Milley maybe should have been studying jihadi rage and jihadi culture. But look, it's a transatlantic thing. Look at Nick Carter, that abominable interview he just gave, where he talked about, let's not judge the Taliban because they may want to have an inclusive government. Are you smoking crack, General Carter? I've been to Afghanistan. Their idea of inclusion is making sure that only jihadis are in their government, period, end of story.
Yes, it's extraordinary. And I mean, even as we were speaking to him and he was talking about the new sort of shiny Taliban version 2, which apparently is supposed to be so much nicer than the first version. They were literally executing people by the dozen in Kandahar and in other regions outside of Kabul. And they were, going around door to door, fishing people out and shooting them in the head.
Let's just give everybody a reality check. The Taliban are jihadi fundamentalists who harbored bin Laden and Al-Qaeda, and the 9/11 attacks were launched from training bases in Afghanistan. This Taliban 2.0, just a couple of days ago, said, what Bin Laden? He was never here, and Bin Laden didn't do 9/11. Didn't do 9/11.
Right.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's the Taliban 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah, they tell lies because they don't want to know what the truth actually is. And I mean, the biggest problem they've got now is not so much America, but ISIS-K, because they've now clearly got a second war front on their hands, and they've then got to worry about the Northern Alliance. I mean, the whole place is going to be on fire in about 2.5 nanoseconds.
Yeah, but they've got all the equipment that Biden left them.
Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable.
600,000 machine guns and assault rifles.
Yeah.
65,000 military vehicles. Afghanistan now has more Black Hawk helicopters than most of the nations in the world. And that was a conscious decision of this senile old man who calls himself the president, Mike.
Incredible stuff. I mean, they've got more Black Hawk helicopters now than every other country in NATO, apart from the United States.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
It's incredible. What was he thinking? Was he thinking?
Look, I look at the people who make the decisions, and there's a very interesting thread, whether it's the Secretary of State, whether it is the National Security Advisor, people you've never heard of before, these real beta males, and you find out there is a connection. They've all been bagmen or women. They've all been the peons, the flunkies for either Susan Rice, who really runs the administration, who's in a slot that doesn't have to be confirmed by the Senate, or Hillary Clinton. Think about this. The only qualification the National Security Advisor of the United States has is he was Deputy Chief of Staff for Hillary in the State Department. These are co-conspirators and co-criminals of the people responsible for the Benghazi massacre, on and on and on. They have no concept of grand strategy, Mike.
No, and no clue about what they're doing. I mean, even watching Biden yesterday, as the coffins were being removed from the plane, covered in the stars and stripes, the Star-Spangled Banner, the very solemn situation, he's looking at his watch, and you go, what is wrong with you?
That tells you everything. When I saw that, I immediately posted that, and that tells you this man, that there is a black hole where his soul should be. You are at Dover Air Base. You are doing the most this is the most sacred thing any commander-in-chief can do, to welcome back those who died for our nation in coffins draped in our flag, and he's doing this. That tells you who Joe Biden is. He's truly evil. You know, it's a dangerous combination: ignorant, evil, incompetent. That is a devil's brew, Mike.
And weak as well. And my father always used to say, you never want to have anyone weak around you, because they will just completely and utterly let you down, because in the end, they're only interested in their own survival.
Exactly. It is all about themselves. It's a nice, corollary to the millennial culture. It's about themselves. It's about staying in power. In a normal world, this guy would have been removed last week. They would have used the 25th Amendment. Nancy Pelosi, the rest of the Democrats would say, get out the way. Let's see how Kamala Harris can do. It is stunning. The Speaker of the House, the most powerful Democrat outside of the White House, has said nothing.
Yes.
Nancy Pelosi is just... the only thing she said right at the beginning when it started to collapse, she said, I'm proud of Biden's decision to leave Afghanistan. That's the only thing she said. She's proud. Yeah. And now we've got 13 servicemen and women dead.
Maybe it's time for her to buy another $25,000 fridge. She's clearly got no mental capacity left. This is the woman who wanted to impeach President Trump for making a phone call.
Twice. Don't forget. Twice. And the second time was after he left office. This is how deranged they are. She tried to impeach my old boss after he left the White House.
Yeah, unbelievable. Let's have a listen to Donald Trump once again talking on America First on the Salem Radio Network to Sebastian Gorka.
But we're being pushed around by them. Biden is being dictated to by the Taliban. It's not even possible to believe. And ISIS is tougher than Taliban, and I wiped out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. You know that. You were there.
Yes.
And by the way, the caliphate was building and building and building at a level that nobody's seen. Obama and Biden lost total control. I wiped it out. We have great generals in there, but you don't know them. They're not the television generals. They're the real generals.
The television generals. What a great phrase. And also, let me point out to you, as I'm sure you know, one of the mothers of one of the Marines killed in that airport attack called President Joe Biden yesterday a dementia-ridden piece of crap.
Yeah, look, it's hard. It's a hard truth, but these are the ones that have to be spoken. If you're one of the people who voted for Joe Biden because you didn't like the mean tweets, well, guess what? This is on you. You facilitate. I know one thing. When we came into the White House, the president said it's not going to be business as usual. The people who've told us, Obama told us, ISIS is just something you have to get used to. He called it a generational threat. We came in, the president removed all the lawyers from in front of the special forces guys and said, you are going to destroy the physical caliphate of ISIS. Guess what, Mike? It wasn't 5 years. It was 5 months later, and the caliphate was dust. That's the reality of leadership, and that is the vacuum we have today. When it comes to Afghanistan, Mike, I've been to Afghanistan. The idea that you're going to turn it into Switzerland or you're going to completely leave and everything will be fine is likewise completely astrategic. But these are the clowns who are running America right now.
But in addition to leaving behind $85 billion worth of kit and machinery and high-tech military hardware, they've basically handed the country to China, haven't they?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. All these people, what is it, the Instinctual Rebellion, maybe they're coming in to teach you about how you got to save the planet.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to drive around in an electric vehicle, guess where the lithium comes from? Guess where the copper comes from for those batteries? It comes from Afghanistan. The biggest copper mine in the world is in Afghanistan, and Biden just handed it on a plate to communist China. This will have ramifications across the globe. And look, when you've got the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament lambast and hold in contempt the sitting president of the United States. God bless Tom Tugendhat from the same unit I was in the TA. That's never happened in the history of US-UK relations. You've never had a parliamentarian with his seniority call out a sitting president. So whether it's our enemies emboldened or whether it's our allies and friends very worried, it is stunning what this man has achieved in just 7 months. It's disastrous, Mike.
Yes, I was talking to some friends of mine over there just over the weekend, and many of them saying the one thing that he has now done is united people, even those who voted for him, against him. Because apart from the absolute, bedwetters who will vote Democrat no matter what, if they voted a dead man in, they'd be happy. Everyone's realised what a blunder this was to make this man president of the United States.
I truly hope so. I truly hope there is buyer's remorse across the nation now. That the people who said, "Oh, he's such a nice old man. He's like your granddad."
He's
Let's
really
have
not.
him be the. No, he's. Oh no. I mean, you can see it when he gets that mean look in his eyes. When a reporter dares to ask him a question. Like yesterday, a reporter wanted to ask him about Afghanistan. What did he do? Slapped his folder shut, turned around, and ran away from the podium.
Yeah.
The coffins are arriving now. And what's his response? To walk away from the podium. That's how nice an old granddad he is.
Exactly right. And I mean, aside from the state that he's in physically and mentally, Kamala Harris has been very quiet as well. And God help us in the rest of the world if she gets to take over. Because I don't know if you remember Bernie Grant, who used to run Brent Council here. But she's sort of the equivalent of Bernie Grant, it seems to me. That's about all she's ever done.
Yeah, well, she's very. Look at her political career. Look at how it started, and what was the launch for her career, and you'll understand just how power hungry a woman is. She's prepared to sleep with leading politicians who are married to get her first leg up in her career, and that's known. These are people who've gone on record to say yes, that's how she got her first appointment, and then when she's kitted off to go to South Asia while Afghanistan is collapsing. She lands at the airport, and a reporter asks her about Afghanistan. What does she do, Mike? She cackles. Cackling Kamala, being asked about Afghanistan, laughs at the reporter. So whether it's, how she got on with Willie Brown or way back when, or whether it's a complete lack of empathy today, it could be even worse than Joe Biden. But at least people will see the Democrats for who they are.
Yeah. I mean, is there an opportunity, or will there be an opportunity, if this carries on and it gets worse, which it's almost bound to do? I mean, if there was to be some kind of attack on the US for the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, I mean, is there a method by which Biden could be removed?
Oh, there is, yeah. So it's the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, whereby an individual, if they are deemed to be incapable of executing the functions of the president, they can be removed with the acquiescence of a 2/3 vote of the cabinet. And it has to include the vice president. So Kamala has to vote with the cabinet to remove him, and then he's removed. Or he could just resign. And he gave this very peculiar interview a few months ago where he said, he was asked if there's a difference between him and Kamala. And he actually said this. You can look up the video. He said, if there is a policy disagreement between me and Kamala, I will do the same as I agreed to do with Obama, which is I will find an ailment and I will resign. He actually said that. He actually said that. So who knows?
Well, he doesn't have to look very far, to be fair. But, I mean, it really is quite an extraordinary state of affairs. And now, of course, he's fighting the elements too, because the Hurricane Ida has just hit Louisiana, worse than Katrina. And I'm interested to see how he's reacted to that as well, because, of course, normally what he likes to do is blame everybody else for something that's happened. Now, he was in the White House for 8 years after Katrina. If they didn't sort the defenses, the flood defenses out then he's also to blame for that.
Well, this is very interesting. We'll see whether or not he travels down there. It was said that Bush didn't get down there quick enough when Katrina hit. But look at what he's been saying. When in the first press conference after the Kabul attack, he actually says to the reporters, let me see who I've been instructed to take questions from.
Yes.
Hang on. You're the most powerful man in the world. You're in control of America's nuclear arsenals. Who's telling you who you're allowed to take questions from? So what are his handlers going to do when it comes to the storm? Are they going to say it would be a disaster to have him go there, fall down the stairs of Air Force One again, or send him in there to make a clown of himself? Stay tuned, guys. It's going to be very, very interesting few days.
It really is. And of course, there must be quite a fair amount of trepidation in government now, because, you know, surely to heavens, if you're a man or woman of any sort of conscience at all, you cannot work for this guy for long, surely.
You've got to see the video of the Marine officer who said exactly that. 2 days ago, he said... Oh, yes,
I heard this, yeah.
Right, so he actually went on a little video, like an Instagram post, and said, I cannot in good conscience not tell you how inept and just incapable of doing their work our senior officers are. He spoke the truth. Within 48 hours, he was relieved of his command, and he has just resigned his commission. The shocking thing is there's maybe two individuals we've had like that, one from Space Command, and now this individual. I'd like to see some brave people stand up and say, this cannot continue. And it's not about your security or your pension. It's about the truth and the future of the nation. When things are so dire, you've got to cleave to the truth, guys. You've got to stand up and tell the truth.
Exactly right, because what country now in the world can hope that America will defend them against the marauding forces of some other foreign nation that wants to take them over? Taiwan, for example. If China walked into Taiwan tomorrow, what's Biden going to do? Probably nothing.
No, he'll hide, he'll go on vacation, or he'll talk about his favorite ice cream flavors like he usually does. But here's a word, we are born optimists here. I have to say something. It can be turned around. So for all of you who are worried in the UK, all our buddies who are just embarrassed by what's occurring, Ronald Reagan turned it around after the disaster of Carter, the Iranian hostage siege, the OPEC cartel and the shortage of oil. We did the same in a matter of months. When we came into the White House, the lack of leadership under Obama, the apology tour, we turned it around. So, guys, it may take a little time. We've got an election next year. We're going to trounce them in the House and the Senate. Then my old boss, I guarantee you, is running, and we're going to get him back in the White House. So it's going to be tough, but hang in there, and we can turn it around.
Well, Sebastian, we'll certainly be with you to help you do that. So hopefully, at some point, he'll open the bleeding borders as well, so I can come and have lunch with you.
I cannot wait. It's outrageous. My best buddy's still sitting in the UK waiting to come here and see me a year after my 50th birthday. So, Steve, don't worry. With Mike, we're going to have a pint or two here in the US.
Excellent stuff. Sebastian Gorka, of course, host of America First on the radio, on Salem Radio, and the Gorka Reality Check as well on Newsmax. He was interviewing Donald Trump. You heard it here first, of course, as well. We've got much more to do. How much longer can Biden survive this onslaught of criticism? Because he really is making a complete dog's breakfast of it all. This is Talk Radio.